Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki, Jagannath Subhadra Balaram ki, Yamuna Mayi ki, Ganga Mayi ki, Tulsi Devi ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. So, which verse are we reading from? 73? How many people are watching online? Go check it, let me know. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So are we reading from the 13th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam? Are we? Who says yes? How often do we read from the 13th canto? Never. There's only 12, right? At least on this planet. Okay. 73. Do you have that in your list there? Or wants to repeat? Yes? 73? Which ones do you have? I can't hear. What one? Is 73 there? No, which one is there after that? There's what? Yes, I'm trying to see if they have it there to... 70 what? 77? Okay. All right. I'll just read the other verses by themselves and then we'll read 77 together. So starting with 73. Divijam cha tata masan shaste ribako dine trina paranadebi sirnai kirtano barcharyan vibhum divijam cha tata masan saste ribako dine trina paranadebi sirnai kirtano paracharyan vibhum. Divicham, the next month. Cha also. Tata, as mentioned above. Masan, month. Shashte, every 6th day. Arbakaha, the innocent boy. Dine, on days. Trina Parna, Adibi, by grasses and leaves. Is that what they're serving for breakfast here? Sirnai, which were dry. Krita Ana, made for his food. Abhicharyan, and thus continued his method of worship. Vibhum, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation. In the 2nd month, Dhruva Maharaj ate only every 6 days. And for his edibles, he took dry grass and leaves. Thus, he continued his worship. We see this is in the Satya Yuga, where people live a long time and things are more peaceful. Text 24. Tritayam, Chanayam, Masam, Navame, Hani, Abbaksha, Uttamaslokam, Upadavat, Samadhinam. Tritayam Chanyam Masan Navame Hani Abbaksha Uttamasloka Upadavyat Samadhina. Tricham, the 3rd month, Cha also, Anayam, passing, Masan, 1 month, Navame, and on each 9th, Ahani, on the day, Abhaksha, drinking water only, Uttama Slokam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is worshipped by selected verses, Upadavyat, worshipped, Samadhina, in trance. In the 3rd month, he drank only water every 9 days. Seems a bit austere, doesn't it? Thus he remained completely in trance and worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is adored by selected verses. Text 75. Chaturam api vai masan devadase hani vayu baksho chitash vaso dayayan devam ajarayat Chaturatham api vai masan devadase hani vayu baksho jitas vaso dayayan devam adrayat Chaturam, 4th, api also, vai, in that way, masan, the month, devadase, on the 12th, ahani, day, vayu, air, baksha, eating, jivasvasaha, controlling the breathing process, dhyana, meditating, devam, the Supreme Lord, ajarayat, worshipped. Translation. In the 4th month, Dhruva Maharaj became a complete master of the breathing exercise, and thus he inhaled air only every 12th day. In this way he became completely fixed in his position and worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 76. Panchame Masi, maybe I'll just read it through. Panchame Masi Anuprapte Jivasvaso Nutapt Majaha Dayayan Brahma Padaikena Tastau Stanur Ivakalaha. Panchame, in the 5th, Masi month, Anuprapte, being situated, Jiva Svasaha, and still controlling the breathing, Nripa Atmaja, the son of the king, Dayan, meditating, Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Padma Ekana, with 1 leg, Tastau, stood, Stanau, just like a column, Eva, like, Achala, without movement. Translation. In the 5th month, Dhruva Maharaj, the son of the king, had controlled his breathing so perfectly that he was able to stand on only 1 leg, just as a column stands, without motion, and concentrate his mind fully on the Brahman. Now we get to text 77. Everyone ready? Sarvato mana akrishya ridi bhutendriyai asayam dayan bhagavato rupam nagdrashit kinchana param sarvato mana akriksha ride bhutendriya sayam dayan bhagavato rupam nadrachit kincharana param sarvatro mana akrishya ride bhutendriya sayam dayayan bhagavato rupam nadrakshit kinchana param sarvatro mana akrishya ride bhutendriya sayam Dayan Bhagavato Rupam Nadrakshit Kinchara Param. Repeat. Sarvatro Mana Others? Sarvato Mana Akrisha Vide Bhutindriyasayam Dayayan Bhagavato Rupam Nagrachit Kincharan Param Sarvatra Mana Akrisha Ride Bhutendriyasayam Rupam Natrachit Kinjara Param. Sarvato, in all respects. Manaha, mind. Akrisha, concentrating. Ridi, in the heart. Bhuta Indriya Asayam, resting place of the senses and the objects of the senses. Dayayan, meditating. Bhagavata, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rupam, form. Na adrakshit, did not see. Kinchana, anything. Aparyam, else. Translation. He completely controlled his senses and their objects, and in this way he fixed his mind without diversion to anything else upon the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Repeat after me. He completely controlled his senses and their objects, and in this way he fixed his mind without diversion to anything else upon the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The yogic principles of meditation are clearly explained here. One has to fix one's mind upon the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without diversion to any other objective. It is not that one can meditate or concentrate on an impersonal objective. To try to do so is simply a waste of time, for it is unnecessarily troublesome, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Om Jnana Timaranya Sahajana Ganasa Lakaya Chaksurin Minatanina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So some things are similar. The impersonalists also tried to control the senses and their objects, and they fix their mind, but they don't do it upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We find that there's a verse. What is it? Brahma eti, Paramatma eti, Bhagavan eti, Sabhyate. That God does appear as the Brahman, the all-pervading effulgence, and he does appear as Paramatma in our heart, guiding us. But ultimately, he is Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada compares this to the sunlight is like the all-pervading effulgence, and ultimately the sun is like the sun is the Paramatma, and the sun god, the one controlling it, is the personality behind it. So Krishna is the original personality behind it. The Brahmajyoti are the rays coming from his body. pretty bright light. He definitely glows in the dark, yes? Because if all those things come, the darkness is gone. Because Krishna provides, wherever there's Krishna, there's light. And wherever there isn't, there is darkness. So we have 5 kinds of liberations. There's Salokya, Sharsti, Sampiya, and Samuja. And we like all these 5 kinds of liberation, correct? Do we? We don't like any of them? Which one don't we want? It's called Samuja, merging into the effulgence of the Lord, because then we don't have a personal relationship. But the other ones are having a form like the Lord, living on the same planet, Salokya, as the Lord. That sounds pretty good to me. Having the form similar to the Lord. Which one did we miss? Planet? I said that. Salokya is on the planet of the Lord. And to have a relationship with the Lord personally. These are the 4 kinds of Vaishnav liberation that we want to have. So he's concentrating on the form. Now the difference is that this is in the Satya Yuga, because in each of the yugas there is a different form to a different process that we use in a form to achieve love of Godhead. In the Satya Yuga, there's a process of the transcendental meditation. He was meditating on the form of the Lord, chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We find that this story happened way back, because in the beginning of creation, Brahma created Swayambhuva Manu and Satarupa. And then from them came the children of Priyavrata and Maharaj Uttanapad. And Uttanapad had the 2 wives. He had Saruchi, who's the mother of Uttama, and he had Suniti, who's the mother of Dhruva Maharaj. And so this is pretty much the beginning. It starts with Brahma, and then we have Swayambhuva Manu, and then we have Maharaj Uttanapad. So he's like the 4th generation after Brahma. And so in this is the first Satya Yuga, and in that age we could meditate on the transcendental form of the Lord. But in this age we may not have that kind of concentration. Anyone here ready to eat leaves and grass? Not only leaves and grass, they're dried. Does it make that much difference? If I say, hey, well, I got wet ones, will that be okay? Which kind would you like to eat? Do we cook up the leaves into a sabji? Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. So we just cut the grass and offer him a leaf, right? On the plate? Is that what we offer? If that's all we have, that's what we offer, isn't it? But what did Dhruva Maharaj offer? What's that? Yes, he offered his mind. He offered the mind. It says in the process of devotion in the Bhagavad Gita, it says that some of them offer the fire of hearing, the process of hearing, in the fire of the controlled mind. So for us, the hearing gives us the controlled mind. And that's why we practice this with attention. If we're going, we have to chant clearly and hear the mantra. Because if we're not hearing it, we may not get the same benefit. The one person was chanting, and he wondered why all the cats would show up. But he was chanting, here kitty 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 kitty, here kitty kitty kitty, here kitty kitty kitty, here kitty kitty kitty. And then another person chanting, air warmer, air warmer, air warmer. And that became warm, right? That's the air warmer mantra. There was the person was dying, and the 2 Yamadutas came to get him. This isn't really a true story. And they started pulling him out of his body. And he said, you can't take me, I'm a devotee. So they went away and he started chanting and they came back. And he says, how come you came back? I'm a devotee. You can't take me away. He says, well, you've been calling us all your life. He says, how is that? He says, well, I'm Nish Nish and that's Na Na. And you keep chanting Nish Nish Na Na. So we can concentrate on the form of Krishna when we chant the holy names, because after the Satya Yuga comes the Treta Yuga. And in the Treta Yuga, the process was offering the big Agnihotra Yagyas, where they offer the grains and sacrifice. And in the Dwapara Yuga, the process was the deity worship. And in this age, Lord Chaitanya comes to deliver the chanting of the holy names. But does Lord Chaitanya come in every Kali Yuga? Actually, in a day of Brahma, these the different yugas, the Kali Yuga is about 432,000 years, and it's 864 for the Dwapara Yuga, and it would be another 434 from there, so it would be 1296 for Treta Yuga, and 1,000,007 something. What would it come to? 4 times that would be 16, 1,728,000 years. And that adds up to one day. That adds up to one Chatur Yuga, which is 4,320,000 years. And a day of Brahma is 1,000 of those. 4,320,000,000 years. So in the Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya comes only one time in those. And in the Dwapara Yuga, Krishna comes only one time in those. So who comes in the other ones? Does someone know? A Vishnu incarnation comes when it's Dwapara Yuga. And who is the incarnation in the Kali Yuga when it's not Lord Chaitanya? Gaur Narayan, yes. Gaur Narayan. There's a Gaur Narayan Swami, and he's from Orissa, but he's quite often in Vrindavan during Kartik. So Gaur Narayan comes in that time. So in this age, Dhruva Maharaj had the difficult process, but he was able to perform this process concentrating on the form of the Lord. As it explained here, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he doesn't talk about if you don't follow, if he just started out by saying, listen, you just follow me or you're going to hell. He more or less gives the instructions on a cost to value basis. We look at the 12th chapter where he talks about the impersonal a little bit, and before that he talks about that you should have the undying love for me at every moment and think only of me. This is a Raganuga Bhakti. He says if you can't do that, then you practice the rules and regulations of Bhakti Yoga. If you can't do that, you work for me. That's Karma Yoga. If you can't do that, then you can meditate. Better than meditation is the study of knowledge. And if you can't do that, just do something self-situated. Do something nice, like help a person across the street. Or do something, because each of those things has less benefit, but they're leading on the path to ultimate love of Godhead. Prabhupada says it's a long road from the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga. Karma Yoga, we work for Krishna, we offer service to Krishna, but it doesn't have the same love involved. The love and the regulation, it becomes Bhakti Yoga. So Karma Yoga is a part of Bhakti Yoga, but it is not the complete process of Bhakti Yoga. Just like Jnana Yoga, we study the scriptures to understand Krishna, but it does not include Bhakti Yoga. However, Bhakti Yoga includes the Jnana. So this is what is being suggested here, is, as Krishna explains, Arjuna asks, which is better? Speaking of the personal form, they have just returned. So So he asks, which is better, to concentrate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or to concentrate on the impersonal, the unknowable Brahman? And Krishna says that both things can be possible, but it is difficult for those who are embodied to concentrate on the nothingness. Try to concentrate on nothing. What do you get from concentrating on nothing? Nothing, right? Nothing leads to nothing. We went to Krishna Nam took me to see a couple other temples around here. When we went in the temple room, and they had pictures of animals on the wall, and then they had like a fountain that was supposed to be like the Ganga River or something. But there's no deity to concentrate on. Of course, we can concentrate on the holy name of the Lord. And many of these people come up with some good spiritual ideas. But it's kind of like coming up with a work ethic. Work hard and you will be rewarded. Early to bed and early to rise makes someone healthy, wealthy, and wise. All these things are good, but where's the practicality? The practicality is that we want to develop a relationship with Krishna, because we each have a relationship with Krishna. When we're in the Brahman effulgence, it's explained, it's like the green bird goes in the green tree, and you can't see him anymore. This means that he's merged into it, doesn't it? Does it mean he's merged into it and he's lost his existence? Or does it just mean he's inside the tree and you can't see him? Same thing, water comes down from the river, and water comes in molecule form, right? So do those molecules mix with the ocean water? It's kind of more like a salad bowl. You take a salad bowl and you add tomatoes and carrots and lettuce, and they're all together, but they haven't merged as if you've blended it. They all still retain their identity, because then when the water evaporates, it evaporates them out in the same way. So we see that this idea, like they say that it's like the air inside the pot. We're inside the pot, impersonalists say, and it's a clay pot. And if you break down, the air mixes with the other air. But still, the molecules are going to retain their own individuality. It's just like if you have the people here in the temple. They're contained in the temple. And then they all run out into the parking lot. Now they merge with the parking lot, correct? No. They still retain their identity, but they're in a different location. So in the Brahman, they appear to be merged there. It's kind of like you go and jump in the ocean and you merge in the ocean. You see people go under the water in the ocean. You think, oh, they merged in the ocean. But actually they're still there, contained in the ocean, but they haven't become the ocean. And this is the difference between the impersonalistic philosophy and what we're teaching. For many of them, this comes out easier because they can just say it's all one. Well, it's all one what? Because we could all worship an impersonal God, and there's no controversy about it. And we say that God only appears in the form of Krishna. Is that correct? No. Actually, there's a list in the Bhagavatam, the scheduled list of incarnations. We have the incarnations of the modes of nature, like Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. We have the Manvantara avatars that come, there's 71 in a day of Brahma. So they live 171st of 4,320,000,000 years. So what does that come to? 14 out of that, it would have to be something like 300 million years. 300 and something million years, right? That's quite a while, isn't it? 300 something million years. But Brahma lives for 311 trillion years. That's quite a while, isn't it? Just think, one of his days are 4,320,000,000 years. That's a long time. So in the Satya Yuga, people lived a lot longer, so they had more time to do this meditation. But still, they're not meditating on something impersonal. People think like they're meditating on the void. Prabhupada's, the prayer to Prabhupada, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pacharani, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Desatarane. He relieves us. Nirvishesha is the impersonalist idea of Sankaracharya, merging into that. And the Shunyavadi is like the void into nothingness. The Buddhists want to merge into nothing. It's kind of a strange philosophy, isn't it? The goal is to merge into nothing. So what do we do then when we've merged into nothing? How can that be such a lofty goal? It's kind of hard to understand. When we say that prayer, do you think the people in India learn it more correctly, or the ones in America? Namaste. Someone say it. What is it? Namaste what? It's Namaste Saraswati Devi. Now some people say Namaste Saraswati Devi. Is that a prayer that's offered? Is it? This is the mantra to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. It's Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine. Saraswati, because he's Saraswati. But when we're offering to Prabhupada, it's Saraswati, the servant of Saraswati. And some people from India just think, oh yes, Saraswati, I know the goddess, we're singing to the goddess of fortune. Namaste Saraswati, yes, Saraswati, playing the flute and she gives me knowledge. So they think they're singing to that. So this is why we have to study the knowledge correctly. Some person says, oh, yes, I know all Bhagavad Gita. I said, can you recite it by heart? If you know all Bhagavad Gita, that means you can recite it by heart. Some people have memorized it. In fact, there's this one kid in Vrindavan, he's autistic, and he's always acting very strange, and he's hard to control. But come on Gita Jayanti, he can recite the whole Bhagavad Gita from memory. So they find things difficult for them to do, but if they can concentrate on one thing, they really excel in that. You know how, at what age Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati memorized the whole Bhagavad Gita? Anyone know? I'll give you a couple choices. Was it 5, 7, 12, or 16? 7. Can you imagine that? He must have been a great soul. He was so erudite. You know, Prabhupada gave it to us in terms we could understand. Bhaktisiddhanta writes the one article called Vedanta, it's mortology and ontology. But he was very strong on understanding this impersonal. Namamrita is here. You'll be able to work on my internet today? No? Is what? I have a key. After class? Okay. So, this is the thing we remember, is that when we are concentrating, we have the process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, and Atmani Vedanam, that we're using all of these to concentrate on the name and the form of the Lord. So our meditation begins with hearing in this age, that Lord Chaitanya came in this age, Harinama Eva Kevalam. Kalur Nasteva Gatir Anyata. In this age of Kali Yuga, the process is not this transcendental meditation where we fast on grass and leaves and then we go to just water and then go to air. The process is not, although we do meditate on Krishna, the process is not offering the Agnihotra Yajna, even though we do perform this at initiations and weddings. And the process is not deity worship, even though we do deity worship. It is secondary to the process of chanting the holy names. Like when we have the deity worship, what do we do? Just stare at the deity, or do we sing the holy names? The holy names are what goes along with it. And this is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna mentions Kirtan in the 9th chapter. In the 10th chapter, he says, of sacrifices, I am chanting of the holy names japa. Because to do a deity service and have a kirtan, you need someone to change the deity clothing, someone to do the artik, someone to play the drum, and you need a whole crew, a whole bhajan mandal, and a pujari crew. But to chant on beads, all you need is beads, a mantra, and some willingness. So in this age, what we do is we meditate on the nama, the guna, the rupa, and the lila, the name, the form, the quality, and the pastimes of Krishna. Name comes first when we chant Krishna's name. And then we think of the form. That's why we have pictures at home. We have deities here, and we have like this painting resembles so much Radha Radhanath, doesn't it? Yes? More of that mood? It's like Radha Shyamsundar in Vrindavan is very beautiful, but they demand so much surrender. Whereas Sri Sri Radha Radhanath seems to be just happy when people come to see them, yes? Sometimes they come at lunchtime. I think yesterday at lunchtime there was about 35 people here. Not quite as many as Vrindavan, right? That temple gets full at Mangal Artik, and they have a different conception of full. It's amazing. The temple can be full and there's still people going in. And where do they put them? They just squish them to... We know that because they put a rope up for the Prabhupada disciples and we're in the front. And sometimes the guards have to stop them from pushing forward so much they're going to squish us against the altar. So the temple room is so full that they're squishing towards the front. So the idea in this is that to come and see the deity form of the Lord so that we can meditate on the deity. But of course, because in this age, the process is the chanting of the holy names, when we're meditating on the deity, we're also meditating on the holy names of the Lord. We have our kirtan that we do, and we have our guru at Mangal Artik, we have the Guru Puja prayers that we offer. And in japa time, we do japa in the temple in Vrindavan. And then the rest of the time, does it just sit there quietly? Sometimes it's nice in some small temples where you go to the temple and there's either you or no one in there and you can just kind of talk to the deity and do some chanting. But in Vrindavan, how long is the kirtan? I joke with someone, I says, wait for me outside when the kirtan ends. Wait for me outside until the kirtan ends. But of course, it's a 24-hour kirtan, so they're in trouble then, aren't they? Because they have to wait for 24 hours. But then the next day starts, so they're not over with. This is the Niranjan Bhajan. It constantly goes on. This is what happened when the prostitute tried to tempt Haridas Thakur. Now, if we chant 16 rounds a day, that comes to, let's see, about 10 million a year. Is that it? Wait a minute, 10 million a year. And if he chants 192, that's 10 million a month. That's quite a lot, isn't it? Because 192 rounds is actually 333,333 mantras. So if you chant 192 rounds for 3 days, you chanted 1 million names of God. But that's hard to do, isn't it? The most I've done, my body's a little more worn out now, is, but it's amazing. In Ekadasi in Vrindavan, I could do 128, and I was doing 64 on other days. But I've been having some health challenges here, and besides here, I'm giving classes and meeting with people and doing some studying. But in Vrindavan, it was all about japa. And the most I ever did was on the Rama Ekadasi a few years ago. I did 174. But Haridas Thakur is doing 192 every day. He must have been going very fast. The more you chant, the faster you can go, because you find your mind concentrates easier as you're going longer. If you're chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, you have to concentrate on the names. But if you're going Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and this is why we do this concentration, because the mind has a thing called a reticular regulator. And whatever you tell the mind is important, everything else must wait. Like if you have certain feelings or you're worried about things, if you concentrate on the holy name, those things are not there. But if you're thinking, oh, I better check the email now, Then the mind says, okay, the chanting is less important, check the email now. Now you may have to check something, but then you put it aside for a second. It's better to generally, sometimes I have to check certain things here because the day is over in America. Let's see, about now? No, at 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock the day is over, isn't it? Because 10 o'clock here is midnight there. So I can check it then, right after breakfast. But if I don't check it right after breakfast, all the information is a day old. Because right now it's 10:15 at night in America, where I live. It's amazing to keep up with the timing. And I kind of missed the time of doing the 64 rounds in Vrindavan, but I'm having some sleep issues here, and I'm giving classes, and I'm trying to spend as much time with devotees as I can. I didn't come here to be on lockdown. They were already on lockdown here already. They don't have me come here and be on the lockdown. And when I'm alone, I live in a place where like 60 kilometers from where the temple is, so I can't always go. So it's practical to wake up very early and do lots of chanting. But in either case, what we should do is that we should be concentrating on these holy names. And we should be concentrating on the service that we're doing. That's why when they're dressing the deities, they're not watching something on the television, are they? Generally they don't. Right? South Africa has TV now. You know why I didn't watch TV when I came here in 72? They didn't have it yet. They didn't want South Africa to know about the outside world. It didn't even come till 75. Amazing, isn't it? But people did without it, didn't they? Somehow. Now they would cry if they didn't have it, wouldn't they? People watch the most boring things. But concentrating on Krishna, he is Govinda, the reservoir of all pleasure. So all the pleasure comes from Krishna. There is some pleasure in the material world, but Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that all these glorious and mighty manifestations spring from but a spark of my splendor. So if all those things come from one spark, how much comes from the original Krishna? How much can be there? How much are we missing out on? We just have to be able to concentrate and to surrender. And sometimes when it's easy, then we go with it. The modes of nature are prominent at different times: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And when the mode of ignorance is prominent, we just try to hold on and keep our minimum up, follow principles, do our 16 rounds. When the mode of passion is there, we get some work done. And if the mode is goodness is there and things are easy, then we do more chanting and more reading, and we do the best we can. But when things are difficult, we at least have to keep up the minimum and trying to do this kind of concentration. So are there any questions or comments there? Aruda, do you have something to add? Want to hand her a microphone? Where is it? Hidden away somewhere? Here we go.
It was a very good class, Prabhu, and years of Krishna consciousness that you've had. We can see that. I was just thinking that how, Prabhupada one time said that silent meditation is meant only for the forest. In other words,
Is what?
You can only do it if you're in the forest, very isolated.
Yes.
Silent meditation cannot be done in the city at all. So
You can't sit down by the intersection while the cars are going by and silently meditate?
So it seemed very natural for Dhruva's mother to, suggest that, he needs to, because it was Satya Yuga, and people went to the forest.
But we can't go to the forest here. There's lions there.
No. Yeah, not here. I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is different.
But it's not recommended for us to try to go to the forest and be like this, is it?
Yeah. And the other thing I was thinking that...
you have the forest in Idaho, though, don't you?
No, not anymore.
No forest there?
Well, you have to go really away. No.
There must be a lot of trees there.
Well, when I first moved there, there was very little population, and it was a lot of forest area, but now it's all...
Oh.
Yes.
Interesting. So we don't try the silent meditation. So which things do we experiment on? Do we experiment with new spiritual ideas, or do we try to follow what Prabhupada has given us and try to understand it more clearly as time goes on? We experiment with new things. We may experiment with new things in devotional service, going to a different country, try distributing books, try doing something, cooking, but they're things that have already been proven to work. So we may experiment in our own life with different things that we do or in different places, but we try to follow the process, not create our own process. Because
the other thing I was thinking is, when you spoke about the Mayavadi perspective, and I was thinking that
maybe you could take her that big microphone. It's hard to hear.
One thing that's missing is the mercy aspect. I mean, like,
yes.
How do they deal with that mercy?
The mercy, yes.
Yeah, it's just so cold, and
I'm going to elevate myself into the Brahman. Move over, God, here I come, right? It's the ascending process. We're descending process. I remember there was a song like, have mercy on me. Begging for mercy, that we should be begging for mercy because we're fallen souls. Which one of you is not fallen? We're all fallen into this material world, right? So we're begging for mercy. We're asking Krishna to descend and help us. And that's a lot easier than the ascending process where we try to elevate ourselves into the Supreme Brahman. Ganga has something to say. Tell us something.
Thank you for the nice class, Kshudi Prabhu. I was just thinking about two different things I was hearing. One was from Srila Prabhupada. He was saying that the pujari is actually considered to be very close to Krishna because they're bathing the Lord, they're dressing the Lord. But then we can understand that primarily the holy names is really how we're connecting with Krishna. And then my Guru Maharaj, he was saying that one of the reasons...
Who is your Guru Maharaj?
Parthasarati Goswami Maharaj. Maharaj was explaining that one of the reasons we still have deity worship is because the processes followed in the previous yuga it's overlapped with our yuga.
Yes. We do have it, but it isn't the primary process. We have it in conjunction with the holy names. But when we go out, we teach people to chant the holy names and come here and watch the deity worship. We don't preach about deity worship, do we? We can tell people to come to the temple, but we preach about chanting the holy names, and we take the holy names out into the street, not the deities. We don't say, here's the deity, worship the deity. So the deity worship is still there, but it's not the primary process in this age. We can't neglect the chanting to have deity worship. You can't say, well, I have no time to chant rounds because I worship deities. That doesn't work out. All right, shall we end there? Thank you, everyone, for being here. Hare Krishna.
His Grace Kshudi Prabhu Ki.